And welcome back. Thanks for joining me. I want to ask you a question today. One of the things that I discovered in sobriety was how important it is to forgive ourselves and how difficult. I've told you parts of my story before in other videos. I'll tell you more in others. In this one, I just want to share that I did some things in my life that I'm not proud of. Like all of us, right? Oh, surprise, surprise, I'm human. But I mean, seriously, I shared in a video here just a couple days ago that I spent my from 17 to 32, 15 years right after high school to college, 15-year gap, partying, right? I was the party girl. It was the 80s, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, as you can imagine, in that 15 years, I did a few things not so proud of. In fact, this Becca, the professional Becca, the sober Becca, would ne- can't even imagine doing those things. So, how do we reconcile this when we've got things from our past that we're like, oh, if people only knew what I'd done, if they only knew. Well, I'm here to tell you some stuff I've learned. It's really important. So, listen, grab your journal, think about this. The first thing that we need to understand is that we are not that person. It's simply not us. This is not a delusion. I'm not trying to get some fancy way out of taking responsibility. I'm literally not the same person that I was back then. She was, think about it. She was uneducated. She didn't not only formal education but experience in life. I have 30 more years of experience. I've grown and learned from those experiences. In addition to my formal education, I have overcome challenges. I'm just literally a different person, physically too. I mean, our cells renew, right? And to sit here and wallow or allow myself to feel guilt or allow myself to feel any kind of shame or lack of forgiveness is not acknowledging that I'm literally not that person. Now, what we do want to do is connect with her, the Becca from the past, emotionally and empathetically. If I can connect with her on an emotional level, in other words, look at her and with empathy, with love, and I can connect with her visually. I can see her. Of course, I have some pictures I could go look at. And I can send her love and realize so many things about her. For example, she was very lonely and she was quite lost. She didn't have the guidance she didn't have a parental role, a parental figure in her life that could help her to understand. She was also hard to teach. She wasn't very teachable. She was quite a know-it-all and figured, hey, I'm going to go out into the world now at 17 and I'm going to do things my way with very little training, I guess, being raised without being taught so many things, but in thinking she knew. So she thought she knew what she was doing and she didn't have a freaking clue. And yet she couldn't see that. And so this poor young woman just didn't know stuff. So much she didn't know. And inside, deep inside, she was very lonely and frightened, although you couldn't see it on the outside. She was this tough, yeah, I'm tough, I'm good, I can do it. But inside, she was very lonely and afraid most of the time. That was why she used so much alcohol, so much drugs, and she just didn't know how to get out. And so the more her life spiraled, the more things she did that she was ashamed of, the more she drank, and that caused her to do more things she was ashamed of, and they're into this spiral of years and years of. And then she hit some really, really painful bottoms. She ended up in the hospital. At another point, she ended up in the psych ward because of a failed suicide attempt. She ended up in the detox. She ended up in the drunk tank. This young woman suffered a lot from 17 to 32, 15 years of suffering. And she didn't know how to get out. But she did eventually. From 32, things started to change. That story's over somewhere else. We're not doing that one today. The point here, let's stay focused, is that that is not me. It just isn't. Who am I? I'm an educated, professional woman. I'm sober. I've been married for 25 years. I've been loyal to my husband. There are so many things that she did regularly that I would never do, never consider doing. And it isn't like I have to go, yeah, but you did because you did it. No, I didn't. It literally wasn't me. Yes, this is a healthy way to look at your past self. It's the way. If you're doing it any other way, you're putting a burden on your current self, the self that's sitting here now, that is unnecessary. If you're carrying around shame from the past, if you're unable to forgive yourself for the past, then you're not doing it right. I'm here to tell you, that's not how we do it. That's how I tried to do it. I tried to do that through my 40s. Up until I got sober, and then a couple of years into sobriety, I started learning these things. And in the last few years, this is what I've learned, and this is what I help other women to do, right? Because it's not something that comes naturally. So we learn how to connect with ourselves, our past selves, with forgiveness and love and understanding, the understanding that we never got then. Man, how I would have loved to have had a mature woman come to me when I was 25 and say, listen, here, I got some stuff to tell you. But I didn't have a role model like that. And not only that, the truth is, like, let's be honest, I probably wouldn't have listened to her because I was a know-it-all. So I'm just so not her. So if we can connect with our past selves like that, the way I've just described, then we can forgive. Then there's nothing to carry around with us today. It's just not there. Instead, we can use our journal, write about it, forgive her, go through the process I just did verbally in your journal, and then come to today and realize, hey, this is who I am. I'm not her. And in a separate video, very soon, I'm going to talk about how we can do the same thing with our future self. Quite different, but very, very powerful. One of my favorite authors is Dr. Ben Hardy. He's written several books. One of them that I got some of this information from is Be Your Future Self Now. And that inspired me to take my coaching practice in a different direction. And I'll talk about that in a separate video. But it's similar how we realize we are not our past selves, nor are we our future selves. And that can really make our current moments very, very peaceful and powerful. And so I'll talk about the future self stuff in another video very soon. But for today, I want you to think about, are you carrying guilt and shame from your past? And this can even be from a year ago. Heck, it could be from last week. We are not the same people today that we were. I'm not even the same person that I'll be tomorrow, because I'm going to learn some stuff this afternoon. I'm going to run into people and go, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I'm going to change. I'm going to go home tonight and journal and work it out and see what I learned today. Growth, growth, growth means we are not the same people. And to hold any kind of grudge against ourselves today, now, for past behavior is just, it's almost like saying, I want to suffer. Now, this is kind of hard to do on your own. This is the type of thing I bring women in my coaching program through. We do it together. We do it over time. I give them the journal prompts. I share with them. I hear their stories, and we do it together. But I want you to know about it, that you can release all past shames, and you can forgive yourself. That's the purpose of this video, self-forgiveness. In a future video, I'm going to talk about forgiving others. There's so much to this sobriety. There's so much possibility for growth when we finally put down the bottle and we say, I'm going to grow. I'm going to find out who I am. I don't care how old I am. Remember, I didn't take my last drink till I was 52. 5 years, and life is unbelievable. I never expected to be this peaceful, this happy. And you can be too. Yep, you can. So let's start with forgiving our past selves and recognizing we were doing the best we could with what we knew at the time. That is a fact. Because I know one thing about you. You weren't running around trying to hurt yourself or others. We just do it because we don't know any better at the time. I'm sure you never woke up a day in your life and said, I think I'm going to go do some damage. Let me see if I can hurt myself. Or let me see if I can hurt somebody else. Let me be mean. Let me do something that I'll regret. No. We do the best we can with what we have, with what we know at the time. And I mean, let's face it, youth is wasted on the young, right? I was 25. What did I know? Nothing. Thanks for listening. Sending you tons of love. See you next time. Bye for now.